We about to watch this. See what SwagKage got to say. We about to watch this. We about to watch this.
Kage here, and welcome to today's video. Once again, it's been a while, but I have my
Alright.
friend Seth the Programmer. Say hello to everybody.
Yeah, nice to be back.
Yeah, sorry for the shitty audio quality. I am
Oh, so Seth is on this.
out
Yo,
of town.
yo, this man SwagKage gotta be one of the laziest niggas I have ever seen, bro. Yo, shout out to Swag. By the way, I love Swag. I watch a lot of Swag's videos. Swag is an absolute GOAT when it comes to YouTube. Even though he doesn't necessarily like Boruto and slanders it sometimes, I'm gonna let that slide. He's just already cemented. He's the big dog. But he didn't even list Seth the Programmer's YouTube, his Twitter, nothing in his description, bro. Yo, this man is big lazy.
Now, but I didn't want to skip on making a video, so I just got a fucking blue snowball. So hopefully you guys could deal with it. You know, shouldn't be too much of a problem. Anyway, the subject for the video, self-explanatory. If you read the title, saw the thumbnail, you know what we're going to be talking about here. Maybe I didn't do a very good job of explaining it, because it's kind of like a...
My God said, speaking of Otsutsuki, I would like Urashige to not be beaten by Gettings. For example, if he went out to Cloud Village or Darui would kill him, or Delta would beat him to show more power. Yo, that right there, I completely agree. The Urashige thing, I always said they handle that completely terrible.
If you're converting it into a title, basically we're talking about Naruto versus Sasuke over time. So each form of Naruto versus each form of Sasuke. Obviously, we're not going to be including all of them, because that would be fucking stupid. Like, start of Forest of Death, fresh curse mark Sasuke. Like, no, none of that. We're just going to be covering, like, the major versions of these characters throughout each arc. From start to finish, kids, all the way up to adult. We talked about this beforehand, so this isn't going to be much of a debate. We both agree on everything. Now, I'm sure a few of you guys might be going into this thinking that there's going to be a very strong Sasuke bias. Hopefully, you'll be pleasantly surprised, because, well, I don't want to spoil anything, so let's just get into this. How about you start with Kid Naruto and Kid Sasuke, like, fresh out of the academy?
This right here, 100% go to Sasuke. Naruto barely knew how to use shadow clones. Obviously, he did something like 1,000 or a couple hundred in that in the forest. But relatively speaking, Sasuke would destroy this Naruto. Respect to Naruto, but Sasuke destroyed.
So fresh out of the academy, I'm just gonna break it off the bat. Sasuke completely molests. Like, honest.
Agreed.
The only way you could argue that Naruto wins, like feasibly, is that he cloned himself 1,000 times versus a Mizuki, which he never showed again versus Zabuza or Haku, even though it would have saved his life.
This is fact. Yo, the big problem with this version of Naruto was that he was so inconsistent. One fight, you would think this man was absolutely elite. Next fight, you think that this man should still be in the academy. That's right. Yo, I ain't gonna... First, the biggest example of this was summoning Gamabunta. If he would summon Gamabunta versus Sasuke, it's a body bag. We know Naruto would destroy him. But there was so much times where Naruto just failed to summon Gamabunta, and because of that, he was just so inconsistent. That's essentially him with damn near everything. And of course, whenever we see Naruto with the red eyes of Kurama, that right there is when we got the full-blown Naruto. But a lot of times we just didn't get that version.
And then we know for a fact that the Demon Brothers were capable of poisoning Naruto. They were going to murder Sakura and the bridge builder.
Yeah, Tazuna.
And they were going to kill Naruto as well. And Sasuke comes in and finesses both of them and appears out of nowhere. Is capable of catching them off guard.
Yeah, I was about to mention this. Like, this fucking fresh out of the academy.
Yo, this right here was such an elite arc, bruh. The Land of Waves arc, bruh.
Genin. It was so quick. Like, he came in, like, they got back up and were about to fucking take out Tazuna, and then, like, Kakashi handled them. But the fact that Sasuke was able to take out, like, these legendary ninja, or almost take out these legendary ninja anyway, is fucking crazy. Naruto wouldn't have been able to do anything like that, and Sasuke didn't even use any ninjutsu there either.
Yeah, so Naruto would have to be, like, enraged like he was versus Mizuki to stand a chance.
Yeah.
Really at all. Yeah, and we also know that versus Kakashi, well, Sasuke completely impressed him and used a fireball jutsu. He's like, what? Genin shouldn't be able to do that. Like,
Genin can't use fire jutsu. It takes up too much chakra. And Sasuke had, like, nature element mastery, something that Naruto didn't learn until fucking mid-Shippuden.
Mid-Shippuden. Yo, this right here was crazy to me. Like, the only thing that kept this man Naruto alive throughout his Genin years in part 1 was just straight taijutsu or Rasengan and shadow clones. Like, that is crazy.
Oh, yeah. was to get his dad to say, "That's my boy," or, you know, like, fucking whatever. It varies, like, the exact phrase depending on the dub, but the point is he wanted his father's approval, and, you know, he was constantly begging Itachi to train with him because he wanted to get stronger. Not that Naruto was, like, a slouch or whatever, but I think Naruto was more preoccupied with getting the attention of everybody than he was with getting the attention of his
Sasuke
dead
had a
family
better
members.
motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I guess.
And I think this right here is just opportunity to train with people, as they were talking about. And this right here is exactly what I was talking about with him and Wadi potentially being a little bit weaker than Boruto at the adolescent ages, because again, Boruto had the opportunity to train with Naruto when he was not the Hokage, even though he was still a very young kid coming or stepping into the academy. He was a lot better than a lot of other academy students, and because of that, he got a head start of becoming a lot better at a younger age. That's why I think that him and Wadi is probably not necessarily going to be just as strong as Boruto. I think that him and Wadi is probably going to have to train a lot with Hinata, and that right there is obviously not necessarily the same level of training. Boruto training with an absolute legendary shinobi, Naruto, arguably the strongest shinobi of all time, and him and Wadi training with Hinata. Obviously still a strong ninja, but not Naruto.
The only relevant thing after that is just like Sharingan with 1 and 2 Tomo versus like enraged QB amp. Obviously.
Yo, I forgot. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, I gotta stop this. I forgot to actually change the title of this. Yo, calm down. Y'all gotta calm down, partners. What is it? All right, we're straight. We straight, right?
You know, Naruto,
stops,
dude, he would punch Sasuke across the entire fucking bridge and, like, break it apart. Well, anyway, so, point is, without, like, his thousands of shadow clones or his QB chakra buff, he gets...
Which are both enraged.
Yeah, which are both, like, they're like Nakama mod, like, I won't let you hurt my friends moments that only come out when the plot demands it. He loses to Sasuke. Sasuke is just stated to be a better shinobi than Naruto in every conceivable way at this point. Like, Sasuke was introduced as the guy that Naruto had to work to get stronger than. It'd just be...
Work.
Yeah. It'd just be...
See, again, I get it. 'Cause I originally said that Sasuke is destroying Naruto, but you can't necessarily say that in every single instance Sasuke would beat Naruto, because there is that offhand chance that Naruto might use 1,000 shadow clones, and Naruto might summon Gamabunta, things of that nature. Obviously, at this particular point, when they're at the land of waves, that right there is probably not necessarily the actual accurate description, man, because he didn't necessarily have Gamabunta at this particular point. But hypothetically, if he summons 1,000 shadow clones against Sasuke and actually is influenced by Karma's chakra, I don't think that there is much that Sasuke can actually do. So in certain situations, Naruto would actually beat Sasuke, but I think overall they're absolutely correct. Sasuke is destroying Naruto. Just a regular fight.
Ridiculous to assume that Naruto is capable of beating him without outside help. You know, again, he wins if he gets all of those shadow clones, and also if he gets the QB buff. Like, he just fucking punched through the ice mirrors when Sasuke couldn't even melt it with a fireball jutsu. But aside from that, yeah, he has no chance. So next up, tuning exams. You know, not the first arena, because
tuning exams, I'd still say Sasuke, even though it was, like, let's be honest, Naruto summoned Gamabunta and beat Gaara. I think I've always been on record to say this. I think that Gaara, in his second state, and in his second stage when he's actually influenced by Shikaku, was weaker than the actual Gaara. The reason why I say this is because obviously Gaara got a speed and strength boost, all of that, but he never knew how to fight with taijutsu. So literally, he was coming in to that battle completely, he didn't know what he was doing. I think this version of Gaara was a lot stronger, and of course Sasuke essentially put work on this Gaara. I think that Sasuke at that particular point was still stronger than Naruto, even though I accept a lot of people saying that Naruto was stronger, because of course he's the person that actually did save the day
Naruto
and beat
would probably
Gaara.
shit on Sasuke because he had like barely any chakra. So second arena, you know, when Sasuke showed up with the wrist guards and like the elbow pads and his like new black edgy costume, that Sasuke versus the Naruto that had been training to learn the summoning jutsu and tame his nine tails and shit. What do you think? I'll let you start again.
Okay, so I think it's first the important part that everyone's gonna debate is how Naruto and Sasuke did versus Gaara.
Exactly what I was just talking about.
It's actually specifically stated that Naruto kind of gets an increase. He gets that kind of mod you were talking about to fight Gaara. And this is actually stated, even Naruto's like, where is all of this power coming from? He has no idea. It's kind of like versus Mizuki. It's like, what is this big amp to protect my friends? It's kind of like a, I don't want to say friendship boost, but it's really, it's really out of nowhere.
That's what Nakama mod is.
Yeah, it's really not
like,
standard.
It's like what...
Yeah.
It's what happened.
No, it definitely is a friendship boost. I think it was actually stated that Naruto is at his strongest when he's actually fighting for his friends. This right here is definitely a friendship boost. It's not necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily say satisfying to say it in regards to like a power scaling type of thing, but that's exactly what it is. Like I said, let's be honest.
Fairy Tail all the time when Natsu gets pissed off and he just beats the bad guy that way. It's like when your friends are in danger, you just get this big increase to take out the bad guy, and it's done a little bit subtly to make it seem like it's not too outlandish in the moment. But when you look at the bigger picture, like how Naruto was struggling against Neji and how he was shitting himself when Sasuke pulled out the Chidori, and then all of a sudden he's just like finessing this enemy that Sasuke has no chance in hell against. It's just like, well, where did all this power come from? Now, I've had a theory for a little while.
Plot armor. What are we sugarcoating it for, partners? We know why Naruto won, why Naruto showed out in that battle. It's just 100% plot armor. We obviously know, if we are logically speaking, Naruto shouldn't be doing none of this.
Explains this. It's headcanon as fuck. I'm gonna make that disclaimer. I'm not saying that this is in any way...
Partner is bending over backwards doing mental gymnastics to not say plot armor. Partners in power scaling forms, we could obviously use plot armor. Let's just say it's plot armor.
Like, relevant to the discussion, but I just think it's worth putting out there that I think I have a theory that in these times of crisis, when Naruto wasn't really focused, and he needed extra power, the Nine Tails would provide it to him in order to slowly, like over time, erode the strength of the seal so that he could eventually break out of Naruto's body and return to freedom. Because like we saw like the very height of this in the fight against Pain, Naruto needed more power, the Nine Tails gave it to him, and at the very end he was just like, go ahead, rip the seal right off, and I'll break free and kill Pain for you. And then that's when Minato showed up to stop him. So I think that's sort of what happened, and I don't think that the QB would do this against Sasuke because it wasn't like a life or death situation, you know what I mean? And Naruto would think that it's really strange for this regular sparring match against like somebody like Sasuke. I guess if they got matched up in the Chunin exams, it'd be a bit different. But like if that theory holds true, it's very situational. That's the main point I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, the Nine Tails even admitted that he gave chakra to Naruto when he just got heated when Nagato was talking. That's why he did like the Bijou Sage mode in that room. Also, if it's to the death, you might be able to imply the Nine Tails would just take the L like he did in the Valley of the End. But like if the Nine Tails thinks, oh, are you gonna die? He might whip out that one tail. Like that's all I could really see. But otherwise, it's like,
well. No, the thing about the one-tail is the reason Naruto kept getting stronger nine-tailed forms over time wasn't just because Kishimoto wasn't, like he just needed to keep upping Naruto's power. Like, there is actually an explanation for this, and that is the fact
the seal was actually being loosened.
That the seal was weakening over time.
Yeah.
That's not a theory, that's actually, like, a fact, because you see, like, it was about to break when Naruto let out the Nine Tails against Pain, and it's, like, it was stated, I think Jiraiya said something about...
Yeah, Jiraiya had to tighten it during the time skip because it was just getting too loose. Now, Jiraiya, I think, actually manually loosened it a bit so he could actually try to tame the Nine Tails, but at a certain point, it did actually get, over time, like, looser and looser and looser to the point where Jiraiya had to actually tighten it and eventually, of course, gave Naruto the key.
And a few of Naruto's teachers did, like, how more and more of the Nine Tails is coming out, so the seal is weakening. It needs to be strengthened. Jiraiya even says this before the Chunin exams, actually. The seal is weakening. I think Orochimaru says something about it when he uses the five-pronged seal. But the theory I was getting at was that the Nine Tails was intentionally trying to do this itself, as opposed to this just being an effect of, like, time eroding it away. You know what I mean? So Naruto, I don't think he'd be able to use one tail in the Chunin exams. I don't think the seal was weak enough for that yet. But he'd still be able to get a Ninetales amp. I just don't know if it would happen because it's never really been explained how that chakra comes out until Naruto has like mastery of it. You know what I mean?
So the thing that happened is definitely Orochimaru basically tightened his seal.
That's what he did.
So that the Ninetales go away. And then Jiraiya
he undoes
sort of
it.
released it.
Yeah.
He sort of released that seal that was hindering the Ninetales.
Yeah.
After that, though, there's not really that long of a time skip. You'd think if there was so much like erosion happening,
It was a good Sergeant Scrub.
that he would have obtained a one-tail cloak way long ago. I mean, in fact, it's only been what, a few months.
Well,
since then?
that's
So
why.
I'm saying if it's like a to the death situation, but it's possible Sasuke would kill him in one hit anyway.
With the
Chidori is a very powerful.
Well,
technique.
this is a very.
Well, see, hypothetically, if this right here was even a situation, I don't think that if Sasuke hit Naruto with the Chidori, Naruto's not dying on the spot. Like Karma got something to say about it. Even what we see right now, this right here is kind of difficult to actually compare, mainly because Karma and Naruto are on the same level. But Jigen essentially said that it's going to be much more difficult to actually kill Naruto than it would be to actually kill Sasuke, just because of the sheer fact that there is that presence of the Ninetales. For example, this right here is a very big example, or a very good example when Naruto is actually younger. When this right here was essentially when Jiraiya was actually trying to teach Naruto how to summon Gamabunta. Naruto was continuously summoning like these small ass frogs. Jiraiya literally put him in a life or death situation, threw him in a hole, and then Naruto out of nowhere summoned Gamabunta. So again, Naruto can tap into the Ninetales power if it literally is a life or death situation. So
the segment of the video, let's get into the actual like
Sasuke wins in a normal scenario.
Regular scenario, Sasuke wins, but like if Naruto keeps getting like boosts from the Ninetales, he probably would. Well, see, even in base, I don't even know if Naruto like had like Ninetales chakra amps when he was like kicking the shit out of Gaara, but he did summon all those shadow clones again, which was the first time he did that since Mizuki.
I actually have just a way to one-shot this argument.
Yeah.
It's just like rooftop.
Yeah.
Sasuke was in a coma.
Yeah.
Naruto got extra training, and Sasuke's still finessing him.
So
and he needed the Rasengan.
Without Ninetales buff, Sasuke wins pretty handily. But with it, like if Naruto summons Gamabunta, there's absolutely nothing that Sasuke can fucking do. Like no
Sasuke doubt about it.
Looked up at like a fucking. Like, Gamabunta spit, right? He was just like water bullets, and Sasuke was just like, what the fuck is going on? This is such a high-level battle.
It was Kage level.
Anyway, so Rooftop, Naruto would have won that if Kakashi hadn't interrupted them. This is pretty much blatantly stated by Kishimoto when he shows the Rasengan and Chidori's respective effects on the water towers, so I don't think we even need to get into this.
And Sasuke's reaction.
Yeah, Sasuke was so pissed. He was like, what the fuck? And he, like, slammed his fist into the wall. Yeah, he was getting pretty mad. And it was so bad that, as a matter of fact, he deserted his village and went to go train with Orochimaru. So I think it's safe to say Naruto would have won that fight thanks to the Rasengan being a stronger jutsu. But aside from that, the two of them were evenly matched, right?
Yeah, and this is shown as well when Sasuke gets a lot stronger and their jutsu stuff.
Yeah, this right here was essential when Sasuke understood that he had to leave the Hidden Leaf Fields because Naruto was getting stronger than him. Without this actual scene right here, I think that Sasuke would have probably stayed, which I think this right here made Sasuke a lot stronger in general because, let's be honest, Orochimaru made Sasuke infinitely stronger than what Kakashi would have actually made him, which is what I think Naruto understood this as well. Naruto actually did leave to actually train with Jiraiya. All respects to Kakashi, but I personally believe that this right here is actually what made Naruto and Sasuke as strong as they were. This right here, may have actually happened regardless, mainly because they're both the actual, descendants of Indra and Ashura. But let's be honest, this right here is what actually spurred them to actually take everything serious. Naruto and Sasuke, they've always been really, really serious. But they took the next step after this actual scene right here.
Clash.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Well, speaking of this, leads us to Valley of the End. I'll let you start.
Yeah, so Valley of the End,
obviously
people don't
Sasuke.
know this, but Valley of the End, Sasuke got a big amp because he got thrown into like that curse mark barrel.
Yeah.
that like fused his curse mark better with it.
So fucking weird. Yeah. Like Sakon was like, "You must die."
Yeah. So basically, Sasuke got a massive amp from here that was made him capable. So on the rooftop, he needed his Sharingan and he was still kind of struggling versus the Shadow Clones. And then here he is in just base form, not even using his Sharingan, punching Naruto across the valley. And he even states this. He's like, "You're not even forcing me to use my Sharingan." That's how much stronger I got.
It's like a couple panels long, his explanation of it, but he's just like, I don't need my Sharingan anymore. The curse mark's merging with my body, and it's made me much stronger. I remember using this panel in my curse mark video that I made a little over a year ago, so, the buff is definitely there, and even if it wasn't stated, it's very clearly present, because, Sasuke is much stronger than he was on the roof of the hospital, and he's had no training. He got approached by the Sound 4 the night after that happened, and then he got killed and stuffed in a barrel, like we just mentioned. So, he came out way stronger because of the curse mark, and then you have his CM1 buff on top of that. It's sort of like the way Goku's God form works, he absorbed the God key into his base, and then he gets an extra God buff stacked on top of that, and CM1 is
well, see, I think we can all essentially agree, if this right here was the best Sasuke form, he would have lost to Naruto. I think the only reason why Sasuke actually did win was because he did gain a third Tomo, and also, he gained a third Tomo later on, but also because he went full chakra, the full curse mark mode, which was essentially him getting the wings and everything like that. So coming into the battle, I'd essentially say that Naruto was strong, but obviously after the battle, Sasuke, because of all of his improvements, was definitely better than Naruto. It wasn't even a comparison.
Super Saiyan God, and then Curse Mark 2 is Super Saiyan Blue in this analogy. And so base to base, Sasuke is way stronger, but then the QB multipliers are never stated, so it's a bit difficult to figure out how this would go down. How the fight would have ended.
Like I said, I think the only way that the only thing that would have kept Sasuke in the village is if he saw a tangible way to get stronger than Itachi, but the strongest he's seen is Kakashi at this point. Yeah, that's 100% fact. I believe if he was actually, if he was presented a better opportunity to get stronger, which wasn't Orochimaru, which Naruto was with the Jiraiya thing, if he was presented a better, hypothetically, if Minato was in the village or something like that, he'd probably want to train with Minato and get stronger with Minato. But obviously, no one in the village from his eye was stronger than a character like Orochimaru, and of course, he already got the Karma Seal. I keep on saying the Karma Seal. He already got the curse mark from Orochimaru. He might as well go finish his training with Orochimaru. And even at the beginning, Orochimaru already said that he's probably going to come back to me just because of the curse mark.
If Naruto didn't decide to be petty and slash Sasuke's headband when he just got punched in the gut in the middle of that final class.
I think even if Naruto did attack Sasuke, with the intent to kill, no matter what you say, it's either a loss in Naruto's favor or a draw at best.
Yeah.
Because Naruto would have lost regardless after being stabbed.
Yeah. So, that's true. Well, the thing is, Sasuke didn't stab him. Their jutsu met. And, well, I guess the thing is, the shockwave knocked Naruto out, and it didn't knock Sasuke out, probably because of the extra damage.
My guy says, who wins, Kakashi or Boruto in the Boruto era? I think Orochimaru wins. Kakashi is a difficult story because people still think that Kakashi is a lot stronger than he was back in the War Arc with just one Sharingan. I don't really know that. The novels did actually back that up, but I got to see Kakashi actually fight a real opponent, not necessarily what he did versus Kashin Koji. Kashin Koji wasn't actually trying to beat Kakashi. I got to see him actually fight. But I'm going to still say Orochimaru.
Naruto sustained, because it was drawn in a way to imply that the jutsu canceled each other out and they were evenly matched because they made this weird black sphere, and then it's like they merged together, meaning that the two were even, but Naruto still lost somehow. So I guess it was just Sasuke's durability was higher because he was able to tank the explosion and Naruto wasn't, if you get what I mean. So if that's the case, I guess there was nothing Naruto could really do, meaning that Sasuke was stronger at this point. But, if there's any other argument, I guess I'd love to see it in the comments, but I can't really think of any to suggest that Naruto win.
Yeah, they already did fight, the fight.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is that Naruto could have and should have used a bunch of shadow clones throughout the fight, like he did when he created that.
No. See, bump the shadow clones. He could have and should have used Gamabunta. the reason why Naruto didn't use Gamabunta in this particular battle is because it was just Naruto and Sasuke. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be any outside interference, mainly because these two were obviously the two biggest characters of the show, and they had to get that 1v1 in. But realistically, if Naruto summoned Gamabunta, it would have been a body bag for Sasuke, respectfully. And we love Sasuke and all that. At this particular moment, I said that Sasuke is the strongest ninja in the world. But at this particular moment, if Naruto would have summoned Gamabunta, it would have been a body bag. Curtains, pack him up.
Massive shadow clone fucking ladder and slammed Sasuke into a mountainside. Like, why didn't he use clones like that to just assault Sasuke from all sides? And then again, if he summoned Gamabunta,
yeah, this is fact. Naruto was bedridden after the fight. Sasuke was chilling. Sasuke could have actually killed Naruto after this battle, 100%. The reason why he didn't do it is because he was his best friend, and Sasuke had all the reason to, mainly because he would have potentially gotten the Mangekyo Sharingan if he had actually done it.
There really wouldn't have been anything Sasuke could have done about that. Like, CM2 Sasuke is strong, but Gamabunta is a pretty big fucking deal. He's like a sage creature.
Exactly.
The fact that he's like Jiraiya's go-to summon should probably speak for itself.
Capable of swapping hands with the one tail while possessed, gradually getting power.
Yeah.
And he was capable of pushing Pain and his summons.
Yeah, so
with the other
Sasuke
Toads.
wouldn't have been able to do shit against Gamabunta, but since Naruto didn't summon Toad and he didn't use his clones like intelligently, I guess, that's why Sasuke wins here. But you could probably lay out a few scenarios that lead Naruto to victory. But the fight that we got, like if everything goes the same way, Naruto doesn't get punched in the gut, he probably still loses.
To back up
That's
the
what we're
Gamabunta thing
saying.
just real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Gamabunta scales to Katsuyu,
Yeah.
and Orochimaru said that Katsuyu could have melted him.
Yeah. Sasuke's not stronger than Orochimaru, otherwise he
I
wouldn't
didn't even know that.
train with him.
I didn't even know that.
So, yeah, that's, I guess, case closed. So let's move on to start of Shippuden. This should be...
Sasuke is demolishing Naruto respectfully. Here's the thing. At a certain point, Naruto would overpower Sasuke just because of the sheer fact that Sasuke can't just flat out kill this version of Naruto, because Naruto would obviously be 100% taken over by the Nine Tails. But at the end of the day, respectfully, if they're just fighting 1v1 regular like this, Sasuke is demolishing Naruto. A lot of people like to bring up the fact that Sasuke is about to use Kirin at this particular point and actually end the whole series, and there wouldn't be a Naruto series, period, point blank. But I think, Sai and Sakura may have actually died. Naruto wouldn't have died. Naruto would have died.
Obvious to anybody, and I guess at this point it is starting to sound like there is a lot of Sasuke bias in this video, because we've said that he wins pretty handily in most cases, but like, Sasuke actually fought Naruto in the second arc of Shippuden, and he won, and he didn't just beat Naruto, he also beat his entire fucking team. He like paralyzed Yamato, thoughted Sakura, blew Sai out of the way. He was about to drop a Kirin and kill all of them. Orochimaru was like, no, don't do that. If you kill them, they won't take out the Akatsuki, and that'd be bad for both of us, don't you think? There's really no way that you can argue that Sasuke loses to Naruto.
Why didn't Sasuke know how to summon snakes then? He never really got the training from Orochimaru. I'm assuming that you're talking about at the Valley of the End, like part 1. He never really got the training with Orochimaru at that particular point, so he didn't necessarily have snake summonings. At this particular point, I'm pretty sure he did have snake summonings, but he didn't even really need to use it.
This instance, unless you say that Naruto uses like 4 tails, but even then Sasuke could suppress the 9 tails. Like,
yeah, he's capable of suppressing the Nine Tails while it's in his body. And as well, he also has Genjutsu capable of controlling the sage creatures.
Yeah, so because like he put Manda under Genjutsu, and again, this is a big deal because like Manda is Gamabunta level. I think he's actually stronger.
Yeah, I would argue he's stronger, yeah.
But like the point is, Sasuke's Genjutsu is no fucking joke. He was able to Genjutsu Manda in like 0.1 seconds
while fatigued. He had almost no chakra left versus Deidara.
Yeah.
He even unactivated his Sharingan.
Yeah, no, he had no Sharingan active or any of that, and he was still able to put Manda in a Genjutsu. And speaking of that, let's talk about his speed, how he crossed the entire room of the hideout like before Yamato couldn't even see him move. He was that fast, and he didn't even have his Sharingan activated. Now I know Sharingan doesn't like boost speed, but it boosts Sasuke's perception, which would probably allow him to move faster in theory, without being left unable to tell what's going on around him, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, the Sharingan really increases dexterity, and what's really interesting is that Sasuke finessed the whole team, which is absolute dexterity. Like he Chidori'd all of them, paralyzed them, casually finessed and stabbed Yamato. It was like, wow, he doesn't even have his Sharingan active. Like, imagine.
Okay, here's why I think people will get a little bit mad at them just completely wanking this man Sasuke. We understand Sasuke would destroy the rest of Team 7. That's not the question. And we understand that he destroyed Naruto if it was just a straight up 1v1. But we seen what Naruto was capable of doing versus Orochimaru if Naruto really got serious, really got mad, and really let karma take over. And to an even much more intense degree, we see what Naruto was versus Pain. Just karma, not speaking about Sage Mode, because obviously right here he didn't necessarily have Sage Mode. Just speaking of karma, Sasuke would have had a very big problem with that. I don't think that he'd be able to actually do anything unless he tried to put Naruto under a Genjutsu. That right there could have may have been possible, just because of the sheer fact that we did understand that Madara put Karma under a Genjutsu. Obviously, Sasuke's Genjutsu at this particular point was nowhere next to Madara, but I'm just saying that he is susceptible to a certain level of Genjutsu. So that's the only way I could possibly see Sasuke beat Naruto if things really got serious.
If he did, it's just insane. So
there's also, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to, interpret Kishimoto's writing myself, but there's just a lot of symbolism throughout that fight that, paints Sasuke as superior to everybody, for instance, you have Sasuke standing above everybody when they first show up, and then Sasuke, fucking looking all calm when he's talking to Naruto, and Naruto being all, intimidated and shit. Naruto's expression changes so that he's a bit more calm later, but still. And then you have him, just destroy Yamato, and Yamato's just on the ground.
Sasuke would still win, but you think Team 7 had a mental nerf? Yo, that right there is 100% fact. Let's keep it a G. If hypothetically there was a real situation, if there was a real threat, and Team 7 was just standing there, they wouldn't necessarily be so shell-shocked as they were. They were literally sitting ducks as Sasuke was charging up a Kirin. Obviously they were a little bit shell-shocked. 100% agree with what you were saying. So, again, as you said, Sasuke would still probably win, but it wouldn't necessarily be as dominant as Sasuke made it look. You're absolutely right.
Paralyzed, not really able to do anything while Sasuke is looking down at him. Sasuke's talking down to everybody the whole fight. Kishimoto really wanted to make the point that Sasuke was the strongest person, present there in that situation. And the fact that he took out Naruto's whole team and Naruto should make it very apparent that Naruto doesn't really have any chance here. Especially if Sasuke decides he wants to pull out Kirin. It's just an instant win for him. Neither of us really have any quarrel about that.
I guess the next one would be Sage Mode versus...
well, no, it's Rasen Shuriken versus Kirin.
Yeah, Rasen Shuriken is
Naruto has one new jutsu that he can only use at close range. Ooh, big deal. No, Sasuke still wins.
Yeah, it's what is Naruto gonna hit Sasuke with a Rasengan in any fight?
Yeah,
why would he hit him with the Rasen?
Well, Potter says Kisame versus Sage Kabuto. I'd say Sage Kabuto, but it's a close fight. I ain't gonna lie. I'd still say Sage Kabuto.
Either. It just doesn't.
Yeah, well, Sasuke would see him use 2 clones to form that big fucking attack, and he'd be like, okay, this looks like a stronger Rasengan. Let me not let him hit me with that.
Yeah, or counter appropriately. There's just so many things he can do, to be honest. And it's at that point, Naruto was above, Kakashi or whatever. But as we, talked about, and even then, that's arguable. That's just with the jutsu, not base to base.
Well, yeah, Kakashi was like, well, I think by this point you've surpassed me, but I don't know about that, because
I always thought at that particular point Kakashi was kind of hyping Naruto. I don't really think that Naruto surpassed Kakashi at that particular point. Now, obviously, when Naruto learned the perfect Sage Mode, it was pretty undeniable. But at this particular point specifically, I'd still have to give the edge to Kakashi.
Kakashi nearly wiped out the Diva Path, and there's no way base Naruto would have been able to do that. The Diva Path was fucking destroying him. I think Kakashi was downplaying himself there. In all
Exactly.
honesty,
He was just being humble
And-
because of the jutsu.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and also Naruto reminded him of Minato, who he has a lot of respect for. And anyway, regardless, Naruto is, like, at best relative to Kakashi, whereas Sasuke has long since passed that. By the time Naruto learns Rasen Shuriken, like, he takes out Deidara with ease. He had a counter for everything that Deidara was capable of doing. The only thing that nearly got him was Deidara's suicide bomb, which would have, that would have made it a draw, not a loss. And Kakashi definitely, like, lost to Deidara. Deidara was, he, like, if not for the fact that Naruto was able to press him with, like, the QB and the fact that, like, everybody else showed up and surrounded Deidara at the very end of that fight, he wouldn't have done the whole fake suicide bomb thing. He definitely would have been able to take Kakashi out. I think it's a bit ridiculous to claim that Kakashi is stronger than Kazekage Gaara, who Deidara handled with ease. So, Sasuke being stronger than Kakashi is pretty apparent, and Naruto's, like, at very best, with Highball, at Kakashi's level. So, Sasuke's stronger. The only real thing that Naruto has now is more insight into the elements and a new jutsu. That's about it.
Well, here's another thing as well. This is really, like, a solid argument, is that Kabuto, Kakashi, and base Tsunade are all stated to be the same level by Orochimaru and Jiraiya. They're all stated to be roughly Kakashi level. And then Kabuto is just absolutely, like, cucking down to Sasuke.
Yeah, this nigga was shaking like Shaq at the free throw line. Like, let's keep it a G. If Sasuke wanted to, he could have completely ended Kabuto right here. And I don't think that Kabuto would have had any disagreements with that. I personally believe that at this particular point, I may not necessarily agree that Sasuke would be stronger than, like, let's say Tsunade. If Tsunade caught Sasuke slipping, Sasuke is getting folded. Like, the same argument that SwagKage had with Sakura and Madara. He said that if Sakura hits Madara flush, Madara is dying. Same thing. Tsunade hits Sasuke flush right here. This Sasuke right here, babyface assassin Sasuke. Sasuke's getting folded. But Moho the One, he basically says, do I think that Jonin Minato is stronger than Hokage Minato or equal? I think that Hokage Minato is stronger. Minato was relatively young, so the older that he got, the more strong that he did actually get. You might actually, account for some rust, but at that particular point, I don't think it was much proof that he was actually rusty as, like, Naruto was.
After
He, like,
Orochimaru training.
Sasuke, like, wiped out his, like, favorite person in the world. And Sasuke was just like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? And he just slowly walked away. He didn't run. He didn't, like, do that ninja vanish shit or any of that. He just slowly walked away. He was just like, all right, bye, I killed your master. So long. And
Yes.
Kabuto just stood there holding that medicine tray. Like, what
like,
the
oh,
fuck
damn.
do I do?
So, yeah, it's very clear that even if you argued, but with Rasen Shuriken, that he was Kakashi levels, like, Kakashi level is nothing. So,
Yeah, exactly. But moving on. Now, this is where the Sasuke bias starts to disappear, I promise. We're getting to Sage Naruto versus Taka Sasuke. And I'll let you take this.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. Like, we're essentially going. If hypothetically we're saying this right here is just, if we're saying Taka, I mean, obviously Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke. Put it like that: Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke versus Sage Naruto. I even still have a very big dilemma against this. I mean, here, if Sasuke, you feel me, catches Naruto off guard, catches Naruto slipping and gets him under a genjutsu, there's not much that Naruto can actually do. But hypothetically, if Naruto's going into the fight with Sage Mode, with Ma and Pa, obviously he's essentially going to be immune to genjutsu. At this particular point, Naruto didn't necessarily have that 100% luck with Karma, so obviously Karma wouldn't necessarily help Naruto with genjutsu. But it's the same thing that I did go to earlier when they're essentially caught up first. If hypothetically Sasuke gets past Sage Naruto, which I think is questionable in itself, Sasuke wouldn't know how to deal with a 4 tails Naruto, let alone a 5 tails Naruto, or even a 6 tails Naruto, without him, again, putting him under a genjutsu. And that right there would possibly even be difficult in itself, because again, it's Naruto and Karma. But that's the only way I see it. Yeah.
Because, it's pretty bad.
yeah. So, Taka Sasuke is the one that fought B.
Right.
B,
with 1 MS.
yeah, B basically killed him numerous times, and he needed his entire team to help him. See,
Moon Eater. I don't know if if Sage Naruto stomps, you feel me? By the way, moment of one, Delta's destroying Sakura, but I don't know if Sage Naruto stomps. I think he wins, but is it a stomp? No. And the thing that's difficult with this, Naruto is not necessarily not the character, the actual series. Naruto is not necessarily power versus power. One of the things that we did know for a fact is the fact that Sasuke was a lot smarter than Naruto was at this particular time. If it's just a 1v1 battle and Naruto isn't necessarily getting coached by Ma and Pa, there is a high probability, or there's definitely a possibility, that Sasuke can do something to actually catch Naruto off guard. If that's the case, it's all downhill, especially if it's like later on at this particular point. We're not necessarily completely sure if Naruto was like light speed. I'm pretty sure that he was not light speed at this particular point. If Sasuke catches Naruto with a Kirin, Sage Naruto getting stomped. Like, I'm sorry.
B also has the 8 tails, which would kill Sasuke even harder. And the interesting thing is that not only did Naruto fight a tailed beast, he fought a 9 tails, which is as strong as multiple tailed beasts put together. And with a Rasen Shuriken, well, a Rasengan Barrage, he was capable of, shoving the 9 tails on his ass. And obviously with the Rasen Shuriken, he was capable of forcing the 9 tails into submission. So
now, this is when he has more experience using Sage Mode, so we should make that clear so that we don't give Naruto too much credit. But like, he was probably marginally stronger than he was when he fought Pain, when he fought the 9 tails, but not like to some like significant degree. Like, it's not like he got way strong. It's not like a lot went on, but it was over a very short amount of time. So Naruto didn't have a whole lot of time to train, but he was better at Sage Mode. That's my point.
So
yeah, go on.
What happened with Naruto after Pain is
I never really understood this specific point right here. Now, don't get me wrong. We understood that Naruto beat Kurama, but hypothetically, if Kurama met Naruto, you feel me, at the corner store or something, you feel me, people outside, they waiting for the bus, would Naruto actually beat Kurama 1v1, like right there, if they just squared up right then and there? I don't know. Like, I never really understood that. So is this actually, this right here is a larger argument, but is this right here actually saying that Naruto is officially stronger than Kurama? The bigger argument that I say is this right here is actually pertaining to is Naruto right now actually did lose Kurama. Now, if you're saying that Kurama only made the current Naruto, base Naruto, this Naruto just
actually on his way to the land of iron. He's like, oh, I should probably train my Sage Mode. And then when he was in the middle of trying to do it,
do I think that Sasuke can counter Rasen Shuriken in any way? You probably try to dodge the Rasen Shuriken. If Sasuke gets hit by the Rasen Shuriken, it's game time. The only thing that I could possibly see is the Susanoo, but again, at that particular point, with just the one Mangekyo Sharingan, I mean, not the one, just a regular Mangekyo Sharingan, and especially Sasuke just learning how to use the Mangekyo Sharingan, he could rarely use the Susanoo. So that right there in itself is a very big question mark. I'd probably say he probably wouldn't necessarily be able to actually, stop it. He'd have to actually dodge it, which again might be possible because Sasuke at that particular point was extremely fast. But again, straight head on, I don't think that he'd be able to stop it.
The first time you said I should train Sage Mode, midway, Sakura tries to pull that I love you shit and stops him from his training. Yeah, so he literally never really trained his Sage. The only thing you really argue he's more experienced because of his battle with Pain, maybe. But there's no reason to say, oh yeah, he's just numerous tailed beasts.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Chidori Blade can actually keep the distance and make it. That right there is definitely possible. He could give up a Sharingan to stop it, quote unquote. I mean, that's true, but after he gives up the Sharingan, what else is he going to do? Naruto is still there. Now he's just down to Mangekyo Sharingan. The Amaterasu wouldn't help at all. That right there may actually make it even worse because the Amaterasu and, Fire style and Wind style magnifies each other. That right there would definitely be a bad thing. But hey, it's difficult. I don't know.
Stronger.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I'm saying like it was like marginally at best. That's what I'm getting at. Like it's not like his like the difference between like Goku between arcs. Like I said, it's definitely like a very small, probably not noticeable difference. But I just thought we should point that out because I know if we don't, somebody in the comments is gonna be like, "Well, how Naruto fought the Nine Tails way after Pain? It was like a whole like 2,000 episodes later, so you can't use it. It's not fair."
Yeah. And even Zetsu was like, nah, don't go there. Don't go. So, yeah, Naruto.
See, Zetsu in itself, a lot of people like to use this. I mean, if the argument is going to be Zetsu is essentially speaking for the writer, 100% possible. But I personally believe there's no possible way that Zetsu can actually, make the actual statement of Sasuke wouldn't be able to beat Naruto. Again, most of us in the comment section right now personally believe that if it's just a straight up 1v1, again, Naruto met Sasuke at the corner store or something like that, Naruto would probably win. But again, Sasuke is just so much more smarter than Naruto battle wise. I think it's possible that he finds an opening in Naruto and exploits it. I don't know.
Stronger than you. And then Sasuke went to the 5 Kage Summit.
This same Naruto up against Kage Summit Sasuke is a lot more tricky. Because now Sasuke, he's much less cocky than he was against B. Granted, he's still very confident. But I think he got put in his place, and that was something that he needed. So, I think he's a lot more aware of his weaknesses by the time he goes to the summit. And he's also a lot stronger because, before he was struggling to deal with B in close quarters, and now he's, reacting to the Raikage at, max speed. And, the Raikage, it's a bit hard to say who's stronger between he and B, but, Karin flat out says when he powers up, he's at Biju levels right now, dude. You're gonna have your hands full if you go down there. Also, I will say that Biju level is a very broad term considering the difference in power between all of them. But the point is, the Raikage is definitely on B's level, and Sasuke was fighting evenly with him. As a matter of fact, I think you and I both agree that Sasuke would have killed him if Gaara hadn't intervened.
Yes, one.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. We gotta respectfully disagree with that. I don't think that Sasuke would have actually killed the Raikage. One thing that I definitely would probably say is that the Raikage wasn't necessarily that knowledgeable about the Amaterasu. Because of that, he may have actually lost the multiple limbs. But if he would have actually got the correct knowledge about the Amaterasu and the what it can actually do and how dangerous it is, I think that the Raikage would have definitely beat Sasuke. Probably not definitely, but he would have definitely had a better chance against Sasuke and probably won against Sasuke. So for the flat out statement, Sasuke, Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke is stronger than the Raikage. I don't know if that's for sure.
He won. There's no reason the Raikage would have lost. He already lost a single arm, and Sasuke was he had enough chakra.
I can't watch no fights. I ain't trying to get copyrighted, partner.
Have an entire battle with Danzo. In fact, he was just getting more powerful.
Sasuke fought the Raikage. He tanked an attack from Gaara, Darui, Tamari, Kankuro, and...
Oh, out of 10 fights, how many fights would Sasuke catch Naruto lacking? I'd pretty much say probably 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. That right there is my level. You see what I'm saying? So if you right now, I'd say there's a 30% chance of Sasuke actually catching Naruto slipping if they did actually fight just Sage Mode Naruto versus Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke.
And I don't remember who else was in the room, but it was a lot of people.
Yeah, Moon Eater said 4 out of 10. Yeah, fairly the same level.
At the same time.
He fought Mizukage.
Yeah, well, he tanked that attack, and then he was just fine, and then he just, destroyed the room to try and, delay everybody. Then he fought the Mizukage, and he didn't really do much against her, and he did have his chakra restored in the middle of that fight.
Yo, SwagKage is being real generous to Sasuke right now. He said he didn't do much against the Mizukage. Let me put it in layman's term. The Mizukage almost killed Sasuke, respectfully. I mean, if you could legitimately make the argument that the Mizukage could have actually killed Sasuke if there was just a complete 1v1 in that actual episode. It was bad.
So that's worth pointing out. But he did fight against her. Then he tanked this big fucking hammer attack from Chojuro. And then Oniki about killed him. Obito saved him. And then he beat Danzo. While low on chakra, about to go blind, he beat Danzo. Then nearly killed Sakura. About killed Kakashi. And still clashed a Chidori and a Rasengan with Naruto. And now you brought this up to me before the video.
Nah, this man Sasuke was a menace, bro. When people say black Air Force energy, bro, this right here, Sasuke was the epitome, partner. This man literally crashed the 5 Kage Summit, 1v1 Danzo, and still clashed with Naruto, Kakashi, and Sakura. My goodness.
We were just discussing this. Even after all that shit, when Sasuke should have been dead from chakra use, Naruto was like, dude, I couldn't have beaten him. like something inside, like I just wouldn't have been able to do it. And I'm like, I feel like Naruto's downplaying himself. Like you said before the video started, I would probably
Yeah, so basically Sasuke got saved twice. Yeah.
argue with Naruto there. But the fact that he said that means that Sasuke had a very solid chance of winning, like if he would have gone into that fight at max power.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but Sasuke's hatred was developing his ocular powers. Now, in the Sakura novel, this is more extrapolated on, but the more emotions Sharingan user has, the stronger their ocular prowess becomes. So his natural chakra levels were increasing the more angry he got, and the more angry he gets, it will just be like a snowball effect. And that's what was happening in the Kage Summit when he was about to fight Danzo. And the thing that states he just blatantly got more powerful since Taka is Karin was saying that his chakra was more intense. It was larger and it was colder than it was previously with the curse mark. So
yeah,
whether
CM too.
Yeah, whether you think that actually means he's stronger than curse mark or not, no matter what, it's being stated explicitly that he is getting stronger. That's the whole point of her stating that. So.
Another thing that's worth pointing out too is that all of the Sound 4 got way more aggressive and like fucking creepy when they entered their curse mark. Like the curse mark 2 was like, it was established that this was like a really weird power up that you got like by doing a deal with the devil. Like it, and like over time it like ate away at your sanity and shit. Like it just made you a bad evil person. And like Karin was saying that in base right now, because of how pissed off he was, his chakra was even colder than it was when he used the Curse Mark II, something developed by Orochimaru, the most twisted guy in the fucking world. So yeah, like obviously, now I didn't know about that, the fact that emotions were tied to the strength of a person's Sharingan, but like if that's the case and his chakra.
Oh yeah, that right there was stated. Like I believe, I can't really tell when it was stated, but it was essentially stated that the Sharingan grows essentially because of love, and of course when love comes, hatred also is born as well. And of course, the more hatred the person has in his heart, the stronger the eye is going to get. Just essentially, like for example, people say you kill the person that you love, or you see someone that you love die, the Mangekyo Sharingan may actually come about. And again, Sasuke was going through multiple traumatic experiences at this particular time, especially. So even while he was fighting, the love and the hatred was growing in his body, of course, making his Sharingan that much more stronger.
It's like even more sinister than it was when he was using the curse mark. Well,
yeah, it says it's like larger
way
as well.
Stronger.
Yeah, it says it's larger and more sinister. It says both.
Yeah.
But
on top of that, Sasuke's genjutsu prowess is fucking retarded. Like, he put C in a genjutsu he couldn't escape, and C was like, he's a genjutsu specialist. Like, that's his whole thing. He didn't do any physical fighting when Darui stepped into the battlefield to help the Raikage out. C didn't do the same thing, meaning that like his thing is probably just that he's a sensory type and that he's really good with genjutsu. And he was appointed by the Raikage to be one of his aides. Like, the Raikage chose this guy, and Sasuke's plain Mangekyo Sharingan Genjutsu was too much for him to handle. Like, he said that it, like, fucking paralyzed his body. He couldn't do.
Nah, Sasuke was broken. The funny part about this, they spent a solid 5 minutes building up Sasuke to just say that Naruto would still beat him.
Anything, he felt helpless. That's really fucking big. Like, that is a huge deal, dude.
Yeah, to further go into the whole ocular thing, though, as a final point that we can move on, it basically what was going to happen is these Anbu were going to try to kill Sakura in front of Sasuke.
No, moment one. He's essentially said, some people think that Sasuke was stupid to fight the 5 Kage, but if Sasuke tried to run, the Raikage is chasing him. Would Sasuke get away? I don't think so. Here's the thing. He shouldn't even pulled up to that actual shindig. He shouldn't have pulled up to that soiree. What is Sasuke doing? If you want to catch Danzo lacking, wait till he left the 5 Kage summit. Don't pull up on all 5 Kage. He didn't want to fight the Raikage. He didn't want to fight the Mizukage. He didn't want to fight the Tsuchikage. He didn't want to fight the samurai guy. He didn't want to fight the He didn't want to fight the Kazekage, Gaara. Big goat Gaara, by the way. He just wanted to fight Danzo. So why pull up at the 5 Kage summit where 5 of the strongest ninjas on the planet are there? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, I get where you're coming from. Sasuke already got into that predicament. But again, why pull up to that shindig?
They didn't even think his Sharingan was going to evolve. They just said, we want to kill Sakura in front of you, so when we steal your eyes, they'll be even more powerful so that we can make these drugs with your eyeballs. Like, that's the whole reason. So, yeah, it's specifically stated that, yeah, they become stronger.
Okay. So now I've talked about Sasuke a lot. You know, I've given a whole lot of points in his favor, but the thing is, now we didn't really talk about how strong Naruto was in the Naruto versus Sasuke thing. Like, we established that, you know, he's stronger than somebody who was way stronger than B, but, like, we didn't go into just how crazy he is. But, like, he has insane reaction times. You know, he one-shot the Asura pack.
You know, Sasuke didn't have a choice as to why Zetsu gave up Sasuke's location to the SwagKage. That's it. I think Obito plotted it. Yo, if that was the case, the whole plan itself wasn't necessarily that smart. I think if Obito actually planned it, he probably understood that he just saved Sasuke if he was actually going to die, which happened multiple times, and he did actually save Sasuke. If that's the case, I understand it. But Sasuke himself, yo, this man had the heart of a lion that particular day. Again, Black Air Force energy was all over Sasuke's body. You gotta respect it. But again, I personally believe that Sasuke was just way too brave for me. I ain't gonna lie. I'd have probably not done it.
Who took a point-blank Chidori? You know, he was still able to fire a bunch of missiles at Choji. Meanwhile, Naruto comes in and takes this thing out with one fucking attack. And this was one of the most durable paths of pain. Like, it just kept surviving. You know, this thing, like, tore Jiraiya's arm off with a punch. You know, like, it's ridiculous, and Naruto took it out with one attack. So his brute strength is, like, it's off the charts, dude. And I mean, like, that shouldn't be much of a surprise to anybody, because he was out here lifting fucking building-sized rhinoceroses and just chucking them into the fucking air. You know, like, he was tanking attacks that the sage creatures couldn't even. It was fucking ridiculous, dude. Pain was a little bit shook in his presence. The only path that was anywhere near capable of dealing with Naruto was the Diva path. So,
yeah,
you know,
there's also a few other medias that show Naruto is capable of grappling with the Nine Tails a little bit. Not fully, but it is shown that he is just insanely powerful. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, like you mentioned, you know, he was able to, like, damage Kurama with, like, this massive fucking Rasengan barrage.
Yeah.
And, like, that's insane because, like, the QB, well, even half of him, he was the strongest of the tailed beasts. You know, he was able to fire a Biju bomb that canceled out 5 others at once. So, you know, like, the fact that Naruto was able to fucking just, like, he didn't kill him or anything, like, he didn't cripple him, but he did a lot of damage with that Rasengan barrage, and then he hit him with a Rasen Shuriken that really hurt him as well.
Again, I'm still confused. Are we gonna essentially say that this Naruto is stronger or even equal to Karma, the Nine Tails? I might be bugging. I don't know.
And, you know, like, this is shit that Sasuke wouldn't have been able to deal with. His Susanoo was really durable. His ribcage alone was able to tank a Liger bomb, but, like...
To say it's on the same level as the Nine Tails is pretty crazy, especially when Madara...
Yeah, Moon Eater, yo, you essentially saying my feelings right now. Yo, when Killer B said he had to beat the Nine Tails, I said, ain't no way, partners. Ain't no way, bruh. I was essentially Future, bruh. Ain't no way. Like, I thought at that particular point he was gonna essentially try to find a different way to actually control the Nine Tails, potentially hire a hitman, potentially, you know, learn some other jutsus, because at that particular point I thought there was no possible way he'd be able to actually 1v1 Karma. Like, let's keep it G. This is the Nine Tails, the big dog.
With his perfect Susanoo's like, oh, it's now just the level of the Bijou. It's like... to say that Sasuke's Susanoo is Nine Tails level.
Well, let's make one thing clear. Seth is not saying that Naruto's Rasengan barrage would have pierced Madara's Susanoo.
Yeah.
It would have shaken it and, like, pushed it back. But the point is that Naruto was able to damage a Biju. And I think he would have been able to, at the very least, crack Sasuke's Susanoo. If not with the Rasengan barrage, easily with the fucking Rasen Shuriken. I'm pretty sure that Sage Naruto's Rasen Shuriken would have damaged Madara's perfect Susanoo as well. A lot of people are going to be mad about that. Yeah. And a lot of people are going to be surprised. Like, what? Swag, are you serious?
Bro.
I thought you were, Madara Wank Lord. But, I mean, Naruto in Sage mode is really strong.
Yo, what's good? It's me. Yo, you got It's Me in the chat. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, I haven't played Fortnite in literally years, so I probably wouldn't actually do it. What I will say is that I probably actually watched some people play with Naruto skin. For example, I probably watched like Ninja play. Ninja been getting on Fortnite recently, but I probably watched some other people like Clicks. I watch Twitch, so of course, yeah, I'll probably watch it.
Dude.
I wouldn't
I
play
mean,
it.
like, you need to think about it. Like, imagine how strong a sage is. It's like, sure, yeah, Madara would crap on a sage. Now imagine there's hundreds of sages, you know? And it's like, yeah, the shadow clones are, you know, a little sliver weaker than the original. A sliver, you know? Like, it's still hundreds of sages with mountain carving Rasengans, you know, attacking the Susanoo. It's just crazy amounts of DPS. It's just ridiculous.
So he definitely gives Sasuke a lot of trouble. Now the thing is, Kage Summit Sasuke is really quick. He's relative to the Raikage. You know, he's incredibly durable. He has a lot of chakra at his disposal, and I mean, like, a lot of it, enough to go through the 5 Kage and still fight with Kakashi, still, like, have a Chidori ready for Sakura, which, by the way, he was only capable of creating 2 Chidori back in part 1, and he used it, like, 5 separate times in addition to a bunch of Amaterasu and other crazy shit throughout the Kage Summit. So his chakra, like, it's definitely a pretty big deal. Even Kakashi could only use 4 in part 1, and at the beginning of Shippuden, I believe it was stated that this limit was increased to 6, and Sasuke was, like, casually tossing out Chidori. Like, he didn't care. He wasn't like, man, I really need to conserve my chakra. Like, no, he was just fucking spamming that shit. So, you know, he didn't have anything to worry about as far as chakra was concerned. I guess we've talked about this for a while, so I'm sure many of you are probably, like, really itching to hear what our conclusion is, but we don't really have one. I think it could go either way. Like, we both agree on this, right?
Yeah, it could go either way.
Oh, so they don't know. See, again, if this right here was actually the fight, just Sage, Naruto versus Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke, I'd personally say that Naruto would win. Naruto would win 100%. Again, but there's definitely a possibility because of Sasuke's strategic planning and stuff like that, he definitely have a possibility of beating Sage Naruto. Again, if he has that strategic advantage, beats Sage Naruto, the next thing that comes is, of course, 4 Tails Naruto, 5 Tails Naruto, and potentially even beyond, to where Minato has to stop him, similar to what happened with Pain. But again, that probably wouldn't necessarily be possible because he already used that in the fight versus Pain. But you guys get what I'm saying. I don't think that Sasuke would be able to beat a 6 Tails Naruto or a 7 Tails Naruto. Period, point blank. That's impossible.
It just depends. I mean, like, Naruto is just blatantly more powerful. And
Unless
Sasuke
he uses
has
Genjutsu.
Basically more of a speed and dexterity advantage.
Yeah, well, he's faster. I don't know whose reaction times are better, but, like...
Sasuke's. Oh, with Sage. Oh, I don't know. If we're going Sage mode, I don't know. I was going to say Sasuke because he has a Sharingan, but because it's Sage mode, I don't know.
Definitely say that Sasuke has a lot more foresight than Naruto. He'd see a lot more shit coming, because the only new shit that Naruto has developed is Sage mode and the Rasen Shuriken. And Sasuke would be able to tell what's going on with the Rasen Shuriken very quickly. Like, you know, he'd be like, okay, this is like a Rasengan. Like we talked about this earlier.
We were just talking about this, how Sasuke can get past the Rasen Shuriken.
The only thing that would surprise him is the fact that it's like now a projectile, but with his Sharingan, he'd be able to react to it easily.
Absolutely. He wouldn't need any
Yeah,
explanation.
he has to run away from
what
it.
the Rasen Shuriken was immediately when he saw it in the war and fused it with Amaterasu.
There you go. Well, I think, though, that another thing was that Sasuke had a much cooler head in the war arc. Like, he was pissed, so he probably couldn't see shit clearly in the Kage Summit. That's probably a really good explanation for why he didn't fight with as much strategy as he did, like, against, like, Deidara and other people like that.
Let me just explain it this way. If Sasuke tries to do what he did against Danzo and just, stands in the middle of the bridge with his Susanoo flexing, Naruto is going to obliterate fuck him. So...
Oh, yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think Sasuke would see that coming. I don't think he'd be like, yeah, this guy can tear through my Susanoo, because even the Raikage couldn't do that.
Yeah, so there's...
Now, I don't think he'd be willing to test the Susanoo's durability against a Rasen Shuriken, but...
Yeah, I mean, there's just... Basically what we're saying, though, is that there's just more ways or reasoning for Naruto to win, but it's possible, really, for it to go either way, so...
Yeah, Naruto's way stronger, and he shouldn't be underestimated, but Sasuke could definitely pull a victory out here. It's just, it could go either way. So, but yeah, we've been talking about this for long enough, so moving on. EMS Sasuke versus KCM 1. Now, this is...
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, what do y'all think? I'm gonna go. Shit, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go Naruto. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go Sasuke. No, I'm gonna go Sasuke. I'm gonna go Sasuke. I'm gonna go Sasuke. I'm gonna go Sasuke just because of the strategy and stuff like that. Now, I think at this particular point, Naruto was still kind of susceptible to Genjutsu because Karma and Naruto aren't necessarily on the same page. That right there actually happened in KCM 2. See, y'all saying KCM? Y'all saying KCM? See, again, if hypothetically, we know at this particular point we didn't necessarily see it, but if Sasuke with the EMS has the full Susanoo, it's going to definitely be a little bit difficult to actually, you feel me, say Naruto can actually pierce that. Obviously, a bunch of Rasen Shurikens. He could actually use Rasen Shurikens on one arm, the tail beast bomb, just a whole bunch of stuff like that. I mean, but I don't know, bro. That right there is difficult. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be okay. Yo, y'all in the chat, just like we were saying before. Out of 10 battles, how much times do you think that Naruto would actually beat Sasuke? I think it's close. I think it's close. I don't know.
Just as up in the air as the last one, I think. I'll just say that like right from the beginning because neither of them really have a lot of feats. Like EMS does have plenty of feats from like the battle against like the Ten Tails, I guess, but KCM 1 doesn't have a whole lot of them. Like he's faster than the SwagKage, and like he's capable of creating a bunch of shadow clones that are all just as powerful as him. Like hundreds of it. Well, maybe not hundreds, but like up to 100. Like there were easily dozens of them on screen, like just flying off in different directions.
My God says, so hear me out. Naruto has much more abilities at this point, and all Sasuke can only spam and produce full Susanoo here. See, I get where you're coming from, but the thing about Sasuke is that not only his durability, but his stamina is so much higher. And again, we seen what Sasuke was able to do while being damn near blind at that particular time. Sasuke now has full visual prowess. There's just so much stuff that Sasuke can actually utilize at this particular point. Not only that, we do have to take into account that he did get faster and stronger at that particular time. I don't know. See, I personally don't know. The thing about Naruto is that in this particular form, he's not necessarily friends with Karma yet. We understand that right there happens in KCM 2, but my biggest point of emphasis is possibly going to be Genjutsu. Can Naruto hypothetically get past Genjutsu? The thing about this is that we never really seen Naruto get caught in Genjutsu. I might have to go back and rewatch this. I ain't gonna lie. I might have to go back and rewatch. I haven't watched Naruto Shippuden in probably like 2 years. That right there is big for a YouTuber. I gotta rewatch it. I gotta rewatch it. Some of you guys probably haven't watched it in like 5 years. For a YouTuber, that's bad. I gotta rewatch it. I gotta see specifically. But I'm gonna personally say, I don't know.
And like he still had plenty of chakra, enough to fight against Obito. You know, like he was fighting against other Jinchuriki and eventually other Biju in KCM 1. Now he was getting pressed by all of the Biju at once, even when he had B's help. But still, but aside from that, like he doesn't really have like a whole lot of showings. I will say one thing is that he's got all of these extra like arms that he can sprout from his shroud now, which would probably give Sasuke some trouble. And he can create the arms in varied sizes and at any point in his body. Like he was able to create extra arms from like his fucking finger and use those to create a mini Rasen Shuriken. So his abilities are really weird, and like I'm not really sure how they'd interact with Sasuke's EMS, but I'm not sure who wins this one. I'll let you take over for now.
So basically, all we know about Naruto is that he got slapped by Nagato. He wasn't.
Yeah. No surprise.
He was capable of headbutting Obito's mask and not even cracking it. And then he kind of got Bukake'd by the Jinchuriki. He was weaker. He was weaker than Eight Tails B. Here's another thing as well, is that Naruto, if Sasuke fought Naruto, Sasuke would not allow Naruto to use shadow clones to begin with. So like the whole like he can create numerous shadow clones is kind of an invalid point. And all we know about Sasuke, about Sasuke and his power, is that he was comparable to reanimated Itachi, who thought Naruto was taking it too far, that he wasn't as strong as he's hyping himself up to be. And that he was capable of fighting alongside Naruto in KCM 2. Now, you could argue, KCM 2 is obviously stronger than Sasuke. It's pretty much implied and stated.
Right.
But the fact that Sasuke was, reacting and fighting on par with this Naruto.
This is what I'm saying. Like, we've seen what EMS Sasuke did in a war. You see what I'm saying? When they was essentially going head to head with Obito and them. Just KCM won Naruto? I don't know. I don't know. Like, we seen what Sasuke was able to do in a war. You see what I'm saying? I do not know. EMS Sasuke after the Itachi fight, I have to give it to him against KCM one Naruto. Yeah, that's KCM one. I don't know. Because KCM was being pushed by Obito past the pain, Naruto was weakened against the Jinchuriki though. I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna still have to go with Sasuke.
Really,
Well,
It's close though.
I will say that base KCM2, it might be a little bit questionable because his like strongest fucking attack, like Sasuke was able to create. Because here's the thing, like wind and fire, they don't mix. It's like oil and water. Like if you fire like a fire jutsu into a wind jutsu, you could have like disastrous consequences, right? And Sasuke used like the pinnacle of fire, which is blaze release, and he like just shot that shit into Naruto's Rasen Shuriken.
My partner says, quick question, Bar. If Sasuke was with Naruto, Kakashi, and Guy versus Obito and Madara, would have made a difference. I think it would have. If they would have actually attacked Obito and Madara at the same exact time, it probably would have made a difference. It would have probably sped up the actual process of Madara, like, actually wanting to seal the Ten Tails inside of himself. He probably wouldn't necessarily waste any time. Like, if that was actually the case, things would have probably sped up really, really quickly. But again, it probably would have definitely made a difference, but in regards to the overall thing, I think Madara would have probably understood that he had to get moving with his plan. He probably wouldn't have let Obito, like seal the Ten Tails, even though Madara wasn't necessarily intentionally trying for that to happen, but he probably made it more of an emphasis to speed up the process.
He was still able to mix it like really well, so they were able to balance their chakra out, even when Naruto used like his strongest technique, I guess next to the tailed beast bomb. The Rasen Shuriken is without a doubt the strongest jutsu he has access to, and Sasuke was still able to balance his chakra out with it. So you could argue that like base KCM2 without Sage Mode is relative to EMS Sasuke, but that's kind of a stretch just from like one showing where they like formed a jutsu together, and you have to sort of assume a lot to get that implication from that one event. So it's a bit iffy, but that was the point. Like, Sasuke was able to balance his chakra with Naruto's. It's sort of like using fusion in Dragon Ball, how you have to even out your
it's kind
levels.
of like there's kind of a hint that they're a little bit like rivals because they look back at each
Right.
other when they're fighting the Jubi in KCM1, but it's like at the same time, I believe at this point Naruto had more QB chakra in general, even in his base KCM. So there's really nothing to suggest that Naruto would be more powerful or win.
The thing is, Naruto's chakra, like, it isn't even a question of whether he has more than Sasuke or not. Like, he created all of these shadow clones to help everybody out in the war, and then one of these shadow clones created like a billion more, all of which used Rasengan, and just fucking like slammed that shit into Madara's oncoming. Like, Madara created a whole forest, and Naruto's shadow clone just created like 1,000 more clones, and they all just rammed in. And it wasn't just regular Rasengans. They were using like Odama Rasengan, like big ball Rasengan. So they used
True.
that had to be a ridiculous amount of chakra. I think though that's because the QB lended Naruto a little bit of chakra, and like that burnt through his entire supply. But the fact that he was able to do that at all, like Sasuke never would have been able to do anything on that scale. Like, not even
absolutely
close.
not. So the chakra levels are irrelevant. No one would ever argue that Sasuke has more chakra.
It's more about like attack potency, and I think with a Biju bomb, Naruto's. The thing is, Biju bomb, Naruto doesn't have access to it in KCM1. That's only something he's able to use in KCM2. So
Yeah, he wasn't necessarily able to completely perfect it at that particular point. If I'm not mistaken, he did actually use it one time. I'm pretty sure that he did use it once, but it was like an extreme situation, wasn't it?
I guess that's not relevant here. It's really only like
One thing I do know about this version of Naruto, which a lot of people like to conveniently leave out when actually scaling Madara, Gaara and this version of Naruto put Madara in literally a near-death experience. If you guys will recall, they almost killed Madara, which then forced Madara to unlock his Rinnegan. And I mean, this is a big if, he didn't really have his Rinnegan, Madara may have actually died to just Naruto and Gaara in a war. Like, that's crazy. Now, obviously, he was reanimated, so he wouldn't necessarily completely die, but you get what I'm saying.
An Inton arrow versus Rasen shuriken. And that's a bit weird because the wind might make the fire stronger, and it's just like I really don't want to get into it because there's a whole lot that we as readers don't know about this matchup. So it's probably better to say that it's like up in the air. Naruto, as with like the last match, he probably has a lot more raw strength, but Sasuke, better dexterity, better speed. Well, I don't even know if his speed is better anymore because Naruto's faster than the Raikage. So, like he might not even have that advantage anymore, but Sasuke has better dexterity, better jutsu versatility. Like he has a much better arsenal, I think, aside from the fact that Naruto has his like weird chakra hands. Sasuke has all of his Enton powers now that he has access to, plus all of his lightning release abilities. He, like you said, he'd probably stop Naruto from using shadow clones. It's just
Surgeon Scrub. Yeah, I ain't gonna. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and rewatch it. To be honest, I might start rewatching it right now. Well, not right now. Probably tonight after I finish streaming. Yo, the war arc was a wild, wild time. There's a bunch of stuff in the war arc that a lot of people just completely forgot about. I remember there's a specific character that had like a rubber Kekigenkai, something like that. I asked one time on Twitter if anybody knows who that guy is, and remind you guys, that guy was absolutely critical in the war arc, and no one really knew who that guy was. So there's a bunch of stuff in the war arc that a lot of people kind of forget, which is why I want to rewatch it.
It's
definitely
weird. It's hard to figure out how this matchup would go down, so I'm just gonna say it's probably like another. This could go either way. What about
Momo the one? I don't know. I'm probably gonna say Kakashi's legacy is bigger. I don't know.
you?
Yeah, like I said, Sasuke scales more to, KCM2 as well. I mean, like, obviously KCM2 is more powerful, but it's just, like, by feats, alone. There's no way to say objectively that Naruto wins, but there is more of an objective argument for Sasuke to win. So I think if we're going by probability, Sasuke would be more powerful.
What would you say, like, out of 10? Like, 6 or 7?
Yeah, it'd be like
Yo, they actually said the same thing too. Yo, it's the person who actually put that idea in the chat. Did you get it from this video? Out of 10.
6 or 7 for Sasuke.
Okay,
definitely.
yeah,
6
it'd
or
be
7.
really close, like high diff. Like he would have a really hard time taking Naruto out.
And if you disagree with that, like you think Naruto would win, I'm not disagreeing. We're actually agreeing it could go either way. Like that's the whole premise. Like it's a very
That's essentially where I was too. I mean, I think again, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke. If he was fighting KCM with Naruto, either way, KCM 2 Naruto, there's no question. KCM 2 Naruto is winning. Period. Point blank.
objective argument. Obviously,
Now the thing is though, in a battle between KCM 1 Naruto and EMS Sasuke, Naruto would probably in the middle of the fight establish a friendship with Kurama and then go KCM 2.
Moment one. Does KCM 1 Naruto equal base Hokage? I mean base Minato. Base Hokage and Minato. I don't know what I'm reading today, but I don't think so. I think if you'd say KCM 2 Naruto, you could probably make that case because at that particular point, a lot of people are essentially comparing Naruto to Minato at that particular point. Even though we didn't get that slight comparison of Sage Naruto to Minato by Kakashi, but we can all agree Kakashi was like jumping out the window comparing and basically saying that Naruto is stronger than him. I don't think that right there is actually the case, but I'd probably say Hokage Minato was a little bit more equal to KCM 2 Naruto. Now, of course, not saying that Minato would be stronger than KCM 2 Naruto. That right there is something completely different. But hypothetically, we'd say like Hokage Minato with Sage Mode stacked onto it. I think he's a lot more closer to KCM 2 Naruto than he is to KCM 1 Naruto. Put it like that.
Which is where problems would arise for Sasuke. But what were you going to say before we get into KCM 2?
actually, I was going to get into KCM 2.
Okay. Yeah, so KCM 2 base, again, it's a little bit iffy. It's implied that KCM 2 Naruto is really strong. Like, really, really strong. Like, absurdly strong. Like, stupid. Like, he's already, like, approaching, like, the Naru Jesus meme levels. Just because of how much shit he's able to do. Like, share all of his fucking chakra with the allied shinobi force. Like, the entire allied shinobi forces. I know they lost a lot of people.
Oh yeah, Doda. Yeah, yo, you got the name of it. Yo, you know your stuff, partner. You know your stuff.
In the war, but like when he used the allied shinobi forces jutsu and summoned everybody, like that was a lot of fucking people. Well, he didn't summon everybody, but everybody like showed up. I actually don't know how everybody arrived, but don't think that I was saying he used the summoning jutsu because he wasn't. The point is there were a lot of people there. and he made all of them like 3 times stronger. So like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like Hinata was able to use his chakra to blow, and this is Hinata, by the way, right? Like she's not very high destructive capability wise, and she uses just a plain air palm to blow back a Jubi hand with Naruto's chakra, and everybody else was given just as much. Well, maybe he gave her.
Yeah. At this particular point, Naruto, in regards to chakra, like we knew he was stupid before, but this right here was just absurd. Like at a certain point, you just think the Riders are just doing way too much at that particular time. And I think, respectfully, they were doing way too much. They were doing absolutely way too much, partner. But here's the thing, I think they had to do it to a certain extent, mainly because they were going up against such crazy guys. And remind you guys, Naruto isn't necessarily the type of guy who had crazy type of abilities like how Sasuke was. You could have Sasuke essentially be on the same level as characters like Naruto, Madara, Obito, other characters like that, without having an absurd level of chakra. Of course, when it comes to the average ninja, Sasuke's chakra was just immense. But of course, when it came to actual other ninjas like, again, Naruto, Madara, Obito, elite ninjas like that, he didn't necessarily have the best chakra, but that right there was supplemented by all the abilities that the Mangekyo Sharingan, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan actually gave him.
Special treatment because he wanted her pussy, and he was just like, don't die, Hinata. I'll give you like
what?
10 times as much chakra as everybody else. You could argue that, but I'm pretty sure she had just as much as everyone else did. So if she's pulling off shit like that, and like everybody else is capable of the same thing, like what the fuck? Like his chakra reserves are stupid. Hashirama even says, like, from this feat alone, like, dude, you have almost as much chakra as I do. And that was nothing, by the way, because Naruto still had he had enough to continue fighting the Jubi. And fucking, like, oh my god, it's so crazy.
Yeah, so there was basically tens of thousands of shinobi, because there's 80,000 at the start of the war, and there's still, like, much of the platoon left. So
they wiped out half of them on the first day.
Yeah.
So it's less than...
Yo, the part about... I really got mad at this particular point because, again, Naruto did all of that, giving everybody a bunch of chakra, and still... None of them were at the level to actually challenge a Madara or an Obito. Now, of course, on paper, that makes logical sense. But why would Naruto waste his time putting fodder ninjas onto his immense chakra for them not to do anything? I'm like, yo, Naruto, just save your chakra, partner. Like, what are we doing here?
40,000, but I don't think they wiped them down to like under 10,000. So I'm pretty sure you could say like 10 to 20,000 is a fair estimate.
Yeah, so there's still thousands of shinobi. And then Naruto powers all of them casually and is still able of creating double Rasen Shuriken, fighting the Bijou, all of this crazy stuff. And then Hashirama says, yeah, wow, just powering the alliance, you must have a relative chakra to me. And then later on, Naruto does it again with like a Minato link. And then not only does he power the alliance, but
Naruto didn't even like Hinata yet. He was still down bad for Sakura. This is a fact.
Ironically, for this debate, he powers Sasuke. So
yeah, he powers Sasuke up, and then like Sasuke gets like a sage buff from Jugo. Well, actually, that's getting into the next. Well, so KCM2 in base is like, it's a bit iffy because you can't really say like objectively who's stronger. Like, this is only speaking chakra level wise, and you could still argue theoretically like maybe Sasuke would be able to fight Naruto here, but the moment Naruto uses Sage mode, absolutely not. Like, there's no fucking way.
Like
KCM2's Sage Naruto is retarded.
Yeah, that's a body bag. This Naruto right here is just a body bag. Hey, like, what are we doing here? We thought it was a question when KCM won Naruto, and I said Sasuke would win. KCM2 Naruto, we know KCM2 Naruto is rolling Sasuke up in a pack. KCM2 Naruto with Sage mode, bruh, he is putting Sasuke in a bowl. And he's smoking this man. Put it like that. Hey, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Strong, dude.
Yeah,
like, it's ridiculous.
Like I said before, though, it's like Madara thought the perfect Susanoo was like Bijou level. So it's like you have like this perfect Susanoo-ish level fighter, Nine Tails Avatar Naruto, versus like Sasuke's I think it's just now walking.
Yeah, he
Susanoo.
just sprouted legs. It's not even
Yeah.
like close to perfect.
In terms of just
Susanoo.
raw power, it's just like nah.
I don't even think it's as big as like the armored Susanoo that Madara pulled out before he went into his perfect Susanoo. Like, you know when Inoki did like the big fucking Jinton
Yeah,
cube
the hooded
to try
one,
and
the hooded
disintegrate. Yeah,
Susanoo.
and then the one with the hood showed up. And then he made it even bigger into his perfect. Like, I don't even think Sasuke's walking Susanoo was that big. So he's like still 2 stages below Madara. Meanwhile, Naruto is like casually rivaling Hashirama.
And then goes sage mode on top of that.
Do you think it's unreasonable to assume that KCM2 Naruto is rivaling base Hashirama?
No, that's absurd. That respectfully, SwagKage, that is absurd. I think you can definitely make the argument that KCM. Oh wait. I got to make sure I heard this man correctly.
And then goes sage mode on top of that.
Do you think it's unreasonable to assume that KCM2 Naruto is rivaling base Hashirama?
Oh yeah, no, that's absurd. That's absurd. Again, you see, I got completely confused. I thought he was asking if KCM1 Naruto can rival my. Yeah, I was about to have to unsub. Nah, I think KCM2 Naruto is definitely not rivaling base Hashirama. I would say KCM2 Naruto is definitely rivaling Madara. Put it like that. Just a live Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan Madara 100%. But Hashirama, I think there's levels to that. Now, I understand if you essentially say Hashirama is not necessarily using Sage Mode, just base. I understand the point. But what we have to understand is that Hashirama, again, in Sage Mode, I understand that. But he essentially was dog walking Madara plus the Nine Tails. Like, that is different. Like, that is different. So I think this Naruto could definitely rival Madara, but probably not Hashirama. I'm sorry.
Because I don't think that that's too absurd to say.
Hashirama already confirmed it. Yeah, I mean, like,
it's not absurd, but I wouldn't necessarily say Naruto's rivaling. I don't know. Seth said Hashirama confirmed it. He might present something that I ain't know.
Yeah.
maybe argued more like a reanimated Hashirama, but regardless. That's
well,
the only.
no, he
assuming
definitely didn't mean reanimated because reanimated Hashirama has unlimited chakra. So if he's like,
well, I didn't mean like that. Yeah, obviously not like that. I meant the potency.
so when you stack Sage Mode on top of that, that means that in theory he should be around the level of Sage Hashirama. And now this makes
No, see again. I think of course, no one really knows this, but my personal opinion, you stack Sage Mode on top of Naruto, then I think he's definitely rivaling Hashirama. I think without just KCM2 Naruto, he's rivaling Madara. Stack Sage Mode, he's rivaling Hashirama, definitely.
sense because like you were getting into Sasuke not being as strong as Madara with his fucking Susanoo because he wasn't. And then the two of them like merge into like the QB Susanoo, and then they're like rivaling Jubito, who's way stronger than Hashirama. And like Hashirama was able to manhandle the perfect Susanoo clad QB, like full Nine Tails, not half of the Nine Tails, but full Nine Tails, like by himself, and still take Madara out. And then here you have one half of the Nine Tails cloaked by a weaker Susanoo, like going up against Jubito, and you just got it. Like Naruto's got to be around Hashirama for any of this to make sense. Like it's just like none of it's like concrete, but you.
No, I definitely get where SwagKage is coming from. It would make sense, but just me personally, I think I just kind of reserve that opinion real quick. That right there is just a big opinion. Breaking it down, I can't necessarily say it's absurd, like how I would say because again, originally I thought he was saying that KCM1 Naruto was like on par with Hashirama. I'd say that right there was absurd, but this right here is not absurd, but I'd still say nah.
It's like that's the conclusion you've got to reach from all of that,
Yeah, I mean, Naruto obviously can access more of the power of the Nine Tails in comparison to Madara as well. Madara was just like brainwashing it.
Yeah.
In essence.
So, I guess, Naruto's Nine Tails was probably a lot stronger than Madara's, even though it was only half. It had, like, Sage Mode. and then Naruto was working together with it, whereas, like you said, Madara was brainwashing it. But still, I think, I don't think we need to get into this. The point is Sasuke loses, and there's no way you can argue otherwise. Like, even with Jugo's Sage energy, which he got through outside help, by the way, I think he'd get fucking stomped. Like, one Biju bomb and he's dead. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, like, just the normal Kurama avatar should be...
No, moment of one. I'm not necessarily saying that it's absurd for KCM 2. I'm saying it's absurd for KCM 1 to be close to Hashirama. That right there is different. No. Again, you guys asked me before. There's essentially a question of where is Minato in regards to the KCMs of Naruto. I'd say that Minato is closer. Sage Minato is closer to KCM 2 Naruto. That'd essentially be saying that Minato in Sage mode would be close to Hashirama in base. Even though I think that statement right there isn't necessarily completely far-fetched, I'd still say no. Similar to how I'd say KCM 2 Naruto being on the same level as like a Hashirama isn't necessarily absurd, isn't necessarily completely far-fetched, but I'd still say no. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, if you think about it, Madara with his perfect Susanoo was still fighting reanimated Hashirama.
Right.
And the Renegon Perfect Susanoo, while dead, is what was rivaling the Biju. So it's like, why would Sasuke even be on Avatar Kurama level? So, yeah, Naruto definitely wins. I guess we can go on to 6 paths. I mean...
Pretty much objective fact that Naruto would have won. He wasn't fighting Sasuke with killer intent, and Sasuke was definitely trying to kill him. Like, he actually... I'm pretty sure he says at one point, like, dude, why aren't you trying to kill me? You're going to die. You're not going to convince me to come back. And Naruto's just like, dude, you're my friend. I don't want to do it. And he's just like, well, fuck you. You're dead then. You know?
Yeah, Sasuke actually said, like, he wasn't even trying all out until he made the 6 paths Rasen Shuriken versus, like, Injo's arrow. That's when he said he was trying.
Yeah. And see, when his Rinnegan was closed, he was like, oh, shit. I need the Biju chakra. And this was after Naruto, like, exhausted all of his chakra pool. Sasuke was still like, fuck.
Yeah.
I need the Biju. And that, well, I think the final nail in the coffin for Sasuke here is...
No. This right here was dirty. A lot of people don't like, don't understand how dirty this was, bruh. This man Sasuke was sparring with Naruto for hours and hours upon end. Naruto was not taking him seriously, didn't need to take him seriously. Sasuke gains chakra from all other tailed beasts, only fighting Naruto with half a 9 tails, pick what I'm throwing down, and still lost. Like, what type of altercation is this? Man Sasuke must have been punching the air inside, bro. I'm telling you, this man, And then out of nowhere, after the battle, Naruto gains the other half of the 9 tails. Sasuke probably... Realistically, Sasuke probably still had hatred in his heart. Even though we understand story-wise he didn't, he probably still did. He probably just understood, Naruto could clap me at any given time. He probably, it makes no sense for Sasuke to still be trying.
In their final clash, now the Rasengan is in base a stronger jutsu than Chidori. We mentioned this earlier in the video. But Sasuke jumps down from a ledge with a fucking Onyx Chidori powered up by Enton in the center, like Inferno style, right? Like Amaterasu, the strongest fire jutsu in existence. Like, this shit is crazy. And he has it condensed into like 1 cubic inch in the center of his Chidori. And he just goes straight down towards...
This is also dirty work too, bro. This man Sasuke put his all into this Chidori, merged it with some Amaterasu. This man Naruto just scratched together some chakra and just threw out a regular Rasengan. This man Sasuke gotta be... Sasuke gotta secretly hate this nigga, bro. Ain't no way. This man just scraped together some chakra from Jiraiya, from Minato, just a regular Rasengan essentially matched, you feel me, this Chidori. This is dirty.
Naruto, like falling really quickly, like with gravity aiding him. And then Naruto just makes a basic...
With gravity? This is bad. Nah, bruh.
Rasengan. Like, not amped by anything. He doesn't use any of the Biju chakra, doesn't make it lava style, like nothing. He just makes a plain fucking Rasengan. The sort of shit that when Jiraiya used it, it just, like, carved a little bit of a hole in a tree. Naruto is that confident that he can beat Sasuke's amped up Chidori, and then he jumps up, having to fight against gravity, and shoves his Rasengan up into Sasuke as he is falling down, and the two of them still tie.
This
And
is
this is
bad.
base to base. When Sasuke has like his, this isn't even base to base. I think Sasuke has his like MS out, and his Rinnegan isn't open, but he still has all of his 6 paths chakra. And Naruto isn't even in 6 paths sage mode. It's just a plain Rasengan. And again, they still tie. What the fuck? Like Sasuke has no chance here.
Oh no.
Yeah, without a doubt. So Naruto
What-
at the very
Oh,
end
no.
definitely does win.
Well, what do you think? Like, do you think Sasuke would have won if he like didn't like fucking?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. If all Sasuke stands dropped the whole series at this particular time, how could you blame him? This is dirty, bro. This is
Shoot out Indra's arrow and he like retained the Biju chakra. Do you think he would have won?
I mean, I think what Sasuke said is important because Sasuke said, "Oh, looks like you're finally ready to kill me." So it looks like at that point Naruto was actually had jutsu. You know, like the 6 paths Rasen Shuriken was still comparable to the Indra's arrow in terms of power.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
still
it was 2 of them.
yeah. I
but,
mean, Sasuke is still stronger, but then I would just argue it's kind of like how it would be in the old days. It's like, you know, Sasuke is stronger, but Naruto has his clones, kind of thing. But the clones weren't even capable of hurting the Susanoo, so he would have to use the Rasengan. Well, I mean the Rasen Shuriken.
But anyway, yeah. So like, I guess. You know, Sasuke probably would have a few tools in his arsenal. The fact that we have to, like, debate, like, well, maybe Sasuke with all the Biju chakra would be able to beat Naruto. Like, that doesn't bode well for Sasuke. I think it's just safe to say he loses.
Yeah.
yeah. This is that. Do they talk about adult? Oh yeah, they do talk about adult Naruto and Sasuke.
Sasuke at the end of the day loses. Even Sasuke is like, yeah, I lose. So
But in Boruto, in the data books, it's stated that they're like evenly matched. So I guess that just
they're just equal
sort of
strength.
closes. That just closes the book on that one. They just tie. And you can see this. They both seem to be at equal strength against Momoshiki. Like neither one is like carrying the battle. They're both moving just as quickly. They're both doing just as much damage.
Well, respectfully, I'm not sure if this right here actually did come out when the anime came out. In the movie, what I will say, they in the movie and in the manga, they seemed a lot more matched than the anime made it seem. The anime made it seem that Naruto was a little bit more stronger than Sasuke fighting against Final Form Momoshiki. Now, that right there might just be, you know, what the actual team wanted to make it. Of course, you know, storyline, anime wise, just for entertainment. That right there is definitely possible, but it still looked like Naruto was a bit stronger. But again, the writers themselves did actually say that they were equal. The one thing that I will say about that, though, they were stated to be equal, like damn near before the whole series of Boruto actually did start. Right now, or hypothetically, even when they were fighting against Ishiki Otsutsuki, when they didn't necessarily get their quote-unquote nerfs, they probably were not equal anymore. Because, again, Naruto in his own right was training, Sasuke in his own right was training. They go different paths. So, again, a lot of people like to bring up that quote, but a lot of people don't necessarily realize they both get stronger and stronger, and of course it's not necessarily guaranteed that they both got as strong as the other one did. For example, if there was a quote saying that, hey, Boruto and Sarada were equal as Academy student, it wouldn't necessarily mean that Boruto and Sarada right now are still equal. So of course but again, for this specific time when this video was actually uploaded, January 8th, 2018, that right there would be a perfect, it would be a perfect description of Naruto and Sasuke back then. Naruto and Sasuke right now, obviously without the Rinnegan and Karma, completely different story. And even when they're fighting against Ishiki Otsutsuki, completely different story. Even when they're fighting against Jigen, completely different stories. But this right here is this video. Not gonna lie, this video is actually alright. Yo, how long have I actually been live? Yo, I've been live for 2 hours. That's crazy.